So gut. Jetzt sind wir, let's see. Ah, noch einmal probieren. Okay, no, wir sind am Recorden. Gut, danke schön. Okay, so, wenn man jemand fragt, wie geht's oder wie geht es? Das wie geht's ist wie heißt das auf Englisch? The contraction of wie geht es? Und wenn etwas positiv ist, mir geht's gut, sehr gut, danke, es geht mir gut, ausgezeichnet, toll, wunderbar, so und so weiter. So, wenn man die Deutschen fragt, wie geht's, es ist nicht nur das Mindeste, was sie erklären. So, when you ask a German, wie geht's, they think you really want to know. And so they will tell you, you know, I'm not well today, and therefore I need to see a doctor. And they will go on because they do not do, you know, it's not superficial. They figure if you're asking, you really want to know. So, you know, most of the time you'll get a short answer because, you know, Germans are really private. They don't like to share. But sometimes, you know, but it's the possibility is there that they will tell you everything that ails them at the moment because they're figuring you're asking. Okay, it's not just, you know, we're doing it to be polite, but, you know, Germans are doing it because they assume you really want to know. So
I have a funny story about that. My mother,
go ahead.
This is great. My mother from Germany, and it's kind of a double whammy because not only is she from Germany, but she spent the past, 50 years living in New Jersey. So you kind of, the directness along with that mindset, yeah, it's like, so she's never been to a Trader Joe's. This was a few years ago. She comes here and, you know, she's German, and the cashier asked her, like, how's your day? Do you have anything planned this weekend? You know, as they tend to do at Trader Joe's. She was appalled. She's like, what does he care what I'm doing this weekend? And why does he? And I was like, no, mom, it's okay. Part of it's California because it's already a shift. There's the shift from Germany to like the East Coast, and then there's a whole other shift. So you're going many more degrees. And she just was beside her. She's like, everywhere I go, people are asking me what my day and what's going on, and they don't want to know, and this is ridiculous. I don't ask them what they're doing. And anyway,
yeah, it's very funny, but it's something that, you know, is very inbred. My parents were here over 55 years, and you know, the fact that my mother's accent never went away and people always thought she had just gotten here, it was funny. And my mom was better about it. You know, my mom acclimated really well. My dad did too, because he worked, you know, he was out in the workforce and got very used to, you know, what people were doing and such. But what's really funny is once they were retired and pretty much more, you know, amongst themselves and amongst more Germans again, all that came back. And, you know, my mom would, you know, under her breath, why are they asking me this? It's none of their business. Something that, you know, my parents had trouble with forever was like neighbors asking, you know, if you had a new car, everybody wants to see the new car, you know, and it's, you know, we kind of, well, I don't, because I kind of do the same thing my parents did, drive it in the garage and close the garage door. It's nobody's business. And that came real evident to me when I lived in Nevada and up in Reno, people that were from small town Nevada. You know, everybody knew everybody's business. And I had a very hard time with that, A, coming from California, and then B, coming from a German background where you just don't ask those things. It's nobody's business. And, you know, because inevitably the thing would come up, well, how much was it? And it's like, what? You're asking me how much my car cost? You know, you just don't talk about things like that in German, you know, in German communities, German neighborhoods, German families. I mean, you know, even parents don't discuss with their children what they have and what they don't have. My kid sister and I, my parents had to go to Germany when my grandfather died. And so we were left at home, and my sister worked at the bank they banked at. And so because she was there, my dad goes, I'm just going to put her in charge of the finances. And I'm like, that's fine. And so she comes home one day and she said, okay, we need to talk. And I'm like, what happened? She said, do you know how much money mom and dad have? And I said, not a clue. She goes, well, let me tell you. We're sitting here discussing this going like, wow, I wonder why they never said anything, but it was not something that needed to be talked about. Their thing was, when the time came, and I'm not sure when that time would have come. But I mean, they were very good, again, being German, everything was written down, everything was precise. So, even once they passed away, it was easy to figure out. But yeah, it was pretty interesting that, we knew nothing.
Yeah, no,
We were both
no,
surprised.
Yeah, I think it's the same situation.
Yeah.
However, my family has an account in Germany. My mother keeps her money there this way whenever they travel.
Mhm.
And Germany doesn't like that because it's just been from her pension. It just stays there. So they keep it local. But she added me to her account because they're getting older. They're in their
Right.
80s, 90s. So I don't see anything. I don't see statements. I have no reason to use it. And I don't, but it's funny. Yeah, there's like, they tell you just what you need to know when you need to know, which is fine.
Yeah.
But the whole thing about asking you about your business, the other issue, which is very German, and maybe you might want to touch on, because this is a big cultural no-no, is the big objection she has, and she's very German, heavy accent, is not so much that they're intrusive. It's the time they waste at the register making small talk. And the fact that they waste so much time, and everybody around her, and I noticed this too when I moved here. Back east, there's an unwritten rule. You go to a supermarket, you start bagging as fast as they ring. We just do that.
Mhm.
And everybody wants to move along. But here, she says, people just sit there and they're not doing stuff. And there's food that needs to be bagged, and they wait for the cashier, and nobody's just doing. They're asking about your day, and her mind was blown, and she refuses to come out here to retire to go to assisted living. I don't know what I'm going to do, but she will not come to California.
That's funny. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, my parents adapted, they got used to things. What I think Germans, and I've become this way now too, that I've gotten older, is I don't have a lot of patience for people that don't really know what they're doing, but they pretend to. And then in the long run, you've got more work to do and the worst for me is when they've made a mistake, and they know they've made a mistake, and they still can't admit they were wrong. And that is something that Germans just don't like. First off, they do everything they can not to make a mistake, but when they do acknowledge it. And there isn't anything where they make you, like the customer, feel bad. So it's, it is a different culture. It's definitely, and our parents are old school too, which is something to remember. They come from a time where, they've lived through some pretty harsh times. So,
Yeah.
that's always something to keep in mind too.
But yeah, it is the time thing. Don't waste their time. They will hate
Right.
you. And they will not forgive you. They won't. And it's like really hard. They're harsh.
Yeah, and they don't forgive you, their family also.
Yes.
Don't waste their time, get things done, take control type thing. So it's, there's a lot of things. I'm very glad I was, that I was raised like that, because, things get done. And, the whole thing about being really precise and writing everything down, I'm really bad about that. I mean, I print out emails and things that I may need this sometime. And what if, the computer blows up and it gets lost? This way I have a written document that, I can refer back to. And I mean, it's just very, people, like with debit cards, they don't keep a register. It's like, well, it shows here on my debit card. Well, my daughter just had an issue where she overdrew her account because she had forgotten a purchase she had made that hadn't come out. And I sat there and said, why don't you keep a register and write it down? And she just kind of looked at me like, you're kidding. And I'm like, that's what I do. So that, the money on the register is what I have, not what the computer tells me I have. So
young people don't do that.
No, no.
No, I don't
So
think any of them
you know,
do.
yeah, I mean, mom had to come to the forefront and bail her out. So, all right, so dann wieder zurück zu wie geht's. So wenn etwas negativ ist, kann man fragen, was ist mit dir los? Oder auch mit des wie geht's antworten, es geht mir nicht so gut. Es geht mir schlecht. Ich fühle mich schlecht. I feel sick or I feel bad. Ich bin müde, ich bin krank. Ich habe Kopfschmerzen oder Magenschmerzen oder irgendetwas. So, when somebody's kind of moping around, they might ask, was ist mit dir los? What's wrong with you? And you tell them, what's wrong, I'm not good, things are bad, ich bin gestresst, so und so weiter. Und auch, wenn man fragt, wie geht's? Es geht mir nicht so gut. Okay, so, different ways to ask, different answers to what's wrong. Und man sagt, ich bin müde, ich bin krank, ich habe Kopfschmerzen. That you tell somebody what's wrong with you, Man macht das auf English. I do think people do this in English when you ask somebody what's wrong with you. I have a headache. I'm sick. We do that in English too. So.
Well, question, can you say was geht's los? Or is that's a different, is that okay or not? Is that not, was geht's los?
That wouldn't make any sense because literally you're saying, what's going wrong. We can say that in English, but there's not an alternative in German.
Yeah, I'm just curious. Yeah, how you're doing.
Yeah, das geht nicht. So, was machst du? Okay. So we've talked about, let's go back. So ich frage euch alle, wie geht's? Cheryl, wie geht's?
Toll.
Bitte?
Toll?
So, es geht dir gut oder was?
Ich bin toll.
Ich bin toll, okay? Gut. Jonathan, wie geht's dir?
Nicht toll.
Nicht toll, okay. So nicht so gut?
Ist schlecht.
Okay. So mir geht's schlecht, okay.
What is the word for not a lot, but just enough?
So
Or is that,
viel.
or
So you could say, es geht mir nicht so gut, that it's not, so good, but, you're okay. Oder man kann auch sagen, hier oben, whoops, where's the chat?
oh no, crack. Crack.
Es geht mir, so. Oder, whoops. So la. Okay, so that's kind of like, it's okay, it's not great, that kind of thing. All right.
Yeah, I woke up sick is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, okay. Well, then you could say, ich war, over here. Ich war heute Morgen krank. So that you can say, I was sick this morning.
Morgen krank.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Sophie, wie geht's dir?
What did you say? Sorry.
Wie geht's? How are you?
Good.
Good, okay, good. Eva, wie geht's dir?
Sehr gut, danke.
Sehr schön. Dennis, wie geht's dir?
Hallo, sehr gut, danke.
Aha, good. Marcus, wie geht's dir?
Es geht mir gut.
Good. Jazeel, wie geht's dir?
Sehr gut, danke.
Gut, sehr gut. Alright, was macht ihr dieses Wochenende? So, oder letztes Wochenende? Hat jemand was Interessantes gemacht?
Mhm.
Did you ask what we did this weekend?
Ja, sehr gut.
And what did I do? I have to look at my calendar to see what I did. Isn't that terrible? Actually,
Dass man
I don't
so
remember.
beschäftigt ist. Ja, dass
Yes.
man
Oh,
alles auf den Kalender schreiben muss, ja?
I have a couple things.
Okay.
Ich habe meine Freundin getroffen für Kaffee und wir haben, ich habe mit meinem Mann und meiner Tochter, wir haben nach Toma das ausgezeichnete Essen, Cioppino, sehr gut. Yeah,
Sehr schön.
I don't know how do you say I highly recommend it. The Toma.
Ich würde vorschlagen, ich würde das Restaurant vorschlagen.
Ich werde das Restaurant vorschlagen.
Sehr gut. Gut, was noch? Was habt ihr alles sonst gemacht? War jemand im Footballspiel in Los Angeles am Sonntag? Anybody go to the game on Sunday? Nein, ich habe ein paar Mitarbeiter, die waren und haben gesagt, es war sehr interessant und viele Leute. So. Und ich habe es am Fernseher gesehen. Niemand hat eine Maske getragen im Stadion. So, ich wundere, was das alles bringt. So. Aber sie sagten, es war interessant, viel Verkehr. Der Verkehr is the traffic. I have some coworkers that have season tickets and went and said leaving the stadium with all the traffic was something else. So, aber das ist ja Los Angeles, das wird man erwarten. So.
I hung up a picture, but it's a woodcut. And that is a lot of words that I do not know.
Okay. So, das hast du aus Holz gemacht? You made it out of wood?
Someone else did, apparently in Bavaria.
Oh, interessant.
Let me see. Oh, let me see.
Oh, wow.
Let's change the view.
Is it?
Oh, so es ist von Holz geschnitzt. So it's like it's carved from wood, right?
Ja.
Interessant. Sehr schön. Eine Fliege. Sehr gut. Was noch? Markus, hast du etwas Interessantes übers Wochenende gemacht?
Nein.
Nein? Okay. Jaime, hast du etwas gemacht übers Wochenende?
Sorry, what? I didn't get it.
Hast du etwas übers Wochenende gemacht? Did you do something over the weekend?
Study.
Study, okay, gelernt.
Gelernt.
Gut, was ist der Unterschied zwischen Lernen und Studieren? So, Studieren und Lernen. Okay, so was ist der Unterschied? Man kann sie nicht mischen. You can't interchange these two. They don't, it's not like English, where study and learning are looked at as the same thing, but even in English, there is a difference.
I don't know. I don't think there's a difference even in English. You can study all you want, but you might not learn it.
Genau, aber in Deutsch ist es ein Unterschied. Studieren is to study in the sense of like majoring. in something. So ich
Oh.
studiere an der Universität. Ich studiere Mathe. Aber lernen is like, we study a subject, or, you're learning something. So, ich lerne Mathe. So I'm studying math. Ich lerne heute Abend Mathe für die Prüfung morgen. I'm studying math for the test tomorrow. Aber hier, wenn man sagt, ich lerne Mathe oder ich studiere Mathe, then you are majoring in math.
Oh, okay. So you can't use that just to say like, I'm studying this evening.
No. you have
Okay,
to
good
use
to know.
lernen.
Hmm.
So, heute Abend lerne ich Mathe für die Prüfung. Ups. Morgen. Okay, Jonathan, Frage.
Ich studiere Ethnologie,
Mhm.
nicht Anthropologie.
Mhm. Mhm.
Das ist mein Hauptfach, Ethnology.
Okay, all right, gut. Genau, das kann man sagen. Ich studiere Entomology, das ist meine Hauptfach. That's my major. I mean, es ist nicht immer, dass man,
Nein. Ethnology.
oh, Ethnology.
Ethnology.
Okay. So, es ist, man kann ja an eine Universität oder College anfangen, wo man etwas studiert und dann endet sich der Hauptfach, right? I mean, you could start studying something, saying you're going to major in something when you start college, but then down the road, you change your mind and you end up majoring or making your main subject or
Daniel.
something different, okay? Aber studieren und lernen kann man nicht vermischen. You can't mix these up because they say two different things. All right, good. So was machst du? What do you do? Okay, literally, what do you make? But machen is also to do. So was macht ihr übers Wochenende? Sport machen, Fernsehen. Was ist Fernsehen?
Watch TV.
To watch TV, ja. Buch lesen, Freunde besuchen und so weiter. Oh, hier habe ich das schon über Studieren gemacht. So anyway, so, mit machen, das kann man, es bedeutet viel. In other words, it means a lot. When somebody asks, was machst du? Ich koche. Ich spiele Fußball. Ich lese ein Buch. It's not like you don't have to use machen as the verb, because you have to be careful. You can't say ich mache Sport. You can't say ich mache Sport. I'm doing sports. That's fine. But you wouldn't say ich mache Buch. Ich lese ein Buch, but you can't say I'm doing a book. That wouldn't make any sense any more in English than it does in German. So
Would that ever mean like here where we say, what do you do? We often mean professionally.
No, because there you have to do, you ask, was arbeitst du? Oder welche Arbeit machst du? You wouldn't, it doesn't work the same. Like, what do you do for a living? You wouldn't say was machst du für Arbeit.
Okay.
Was machst du für Arbeit? You could probably get away with it, but they would know that you're an American.
Okay, forget
to
it.
answer your question, they would know what you're trying to ask, but it's better was arbeitest du oder wo arbeitest du?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Actually specifying work, not just doing. Wenn man am Strand spazieren geht, was ist der Strand? Wir haben einen großen Strand hier in Santa Barbara. Right?
The beach, yes.
The beach, ja. Und es ist immer am Strand. Okay, oder der Strand. Ich gehe spazieren am Strand. Wir sehen den Strand. Okay. Aber das hat mit the beach, the ocean, Man hat ein Ozean und dabei gibt es einen Strand, right? You have an ocean and you have a beach that goes with that ocean. Okay. So was noch? Wenn man fragt, was machst du? In deiner Freizeit. Okay, was ist Freizeit?
In your free time?
Free time, Okay, so die Freizeit is free time. So man kann fragen, was machst du in deiner Freizeit? What do you do in your free time?
I have a question for you.
Bitte?
So, you know how it says in Dinah there? And sometimes, like when you're talking about this in the seasons or in the department store for my Duolingo exercises, it's I am. So, is it always I am when you're talking about being?
So the M actually
somewhere?
is in Dame. So this is actually a case. This is the dative case. In this case, in deine Freizeit is also dative case. We're not going to go into the dative case because it's a lot to swallow at the very beginning of the language. This semester we're only going to do nominative and accusative, but we're not going to do things wrong. I'd rather you memorize this kind of a phrase and then later learn what in deine Freizeit actually means. Because if you learn it wrong, it's going to take so much longer to unlearn than just to learn it right. Because im is in Dame, so it'd be im Supermarkt. So in Dame Supermarkt, because it's der Supermarkt. It's masculine, and the Dame is the masculine dative case. So when you're in something, you always use the dative case because it's answering the question, where are you? Wo bist du? In Dame Supermarkt.
Okay.
That's why.
Okay.
Why that is.
So if you're actually like located in something or in the middle of something, it would be M.
If it's masculine, otherwise it would be in der if it's feminine.
Okay. Okay.
And that's why in this case it's in deine Freizeit because it's die Zeit.
Oh, okay. All right.
So that's what that is.
Okay.
All right. So was macht ihr in eurer Freizeit? Eva, wenn du Freizeit hast, was machst du?
So what I do during my free time is that?
Yeah.
Okay. It's depend, but I think it's more like I go on the beach and I read or I do my homework on the beach, I think.
Okay, so ich lese, ich lerne am Strand. You can say I study at the beach. That's perfectly fine.
Okay.
Okay, gut. Dennis, was machst du in deiner Freizeit?
Ich hasse Chess gespielt. Ich hasse Chess gespielt. Und meine Freizeit. Deine Freizeit.
Gut. So das Schach ist Chess auf Deutsch.
Schach.
So das Schach. Ja. Gut. Sehr gut. Giselle, was machst du in deiner Freizeit?
Homework or I go to work.
Okay, gut. So die Hausaufgaben. Die Arbeit. Okay, good. Sehr gut. Sophie, was machst du in deiner Freizeit?
What's next? What my major is.
No, what you do in your free time. Freizeit is free time.
Oh, what's friends in German?
Friend, Freunde,
Friends.
die Freunde.
Die Freunde.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, that's it.
Okay, all right. Okay, gut. Cheryl, was machst du in deiner Freizeit?
Ich lese Bücher,
Mhm.
Bücher
Mhm.
und ich spiele Pickleball
Okay,
und lerne Deutsch.
aha, sehr gut. Sehr gut. Jaime, was machst du in deiner Freizeit?
I watch TV a lot.
Okay, Fernsehen. Okay, ich sehe Fan. Okay.
Fernsehen?
Mhm.
Okay.
Kein Problem, das
Thank
mache ich auch in den letzten, I don't know, paar Monate. Anstatt, oder ich lese und sehe Fern zur gleichen Zeit.
What
I
would be
watch TV and
stream?
read.
Like streaming? Streaming?
Streaming, das ist das gleiche
Streaming
wie
is streaming?
Englisch, ja.
Okay.
Weil das
Ja,
sehr
okay,
neu
got it.
ist, because that's very new. So Germans call it streaming too. You
Okay.
know, with computer stuff and things like that, they've stopped creating their own words. They're just using the American words for it because it's just things change too quickly that they were having trouble keeping up, you know, with words, you know, making
Yeah.
actual German words out of things. So
Yeah, Spanish does that too. So on some of them.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that goes back to, I mean, there was a time, you know, back in, I don't know, the 17th, 18th century where they wanted things very German. They didn't want a lot of foreign words. And then, of course, when the Nazis were in power, they got rid of all foreign words. They came up with something that was purely German. And so, you know, but, you know, when that was all over, then Germans went back to using foreign words, like things like, you know, you never heard during the Nazi time, das Restaurant, das war das Gasthaus, you know, so it was, they were always using, and Gasthaus is ein bisschen anders wie ein Restaurant. You know, Gasthaus is, you know, it's like a restaurant, but, you know, people can live above or you can stay, you know, you can stay there.
That
you know,
guest
there's a
house?
restaurant below, and Gasthaus, literally a guest house.
Yeah, I guess so. Okay.
Yeah. So the foreign words came back. And then now, especially, you know, with computers and stuff, it was, you know, very much okay to bring in foreign words because it's just, things change too quickly, you know?
Thank you.
I mean, Sie sagen heute noch der Handy oder das Handy, aber Sie sagen auch das Cellphone. You know, wenn man, you know, fragt, you know, ist es ein Handy oder ein Cellphone? Beides geht. Die wissen genau, dass wir hier Cellphone sagen und dann benutzen sie auch das Wort. Aber sie haben das eigene Wort für Cellphone und das ist das Handy. So, you know. All right, gut. Jonathan, was machst du in deiner Freizeit?
Ich lesen und kochen.
Und koche? Aha, gut, sehr gut. Was noch?
And I forget what the name for bicycle is, but whatever that one is.
Okay, so ich fahre.
Fahrrad, that's it.
Fahrrad. Good.
Fahrrad.
Good. Sehr gut. Okay, gut. Welchen Tag? Welchen Tag haben wir heute? So, welchen Tag haben wir heute? Heute ist today.
Wir haben jetzt Donnerstag.
Ja, heute ist Donnerstag. Und welchen Tag haben wir morgen?
Freitag.
Freitag, gut. Und übermorgen? So, übermorgen.
Samstag.
Samstag, aha, gut. Welchen Tag war gestern?
Mittwoch.
Mittwoch und dann vorgestern?
Dienstag.
Dienstag, genau. Okay, so übermorgen is the day after tomorrow, vorgestern the day before yesterday. Okay, gut. Oh, ich möchte schnell das Fragen-Handout besprechen. Es gab verschiedene Fehler. Ich muss meinen Handy oder meine Computer einstecken. Ich sehe, dass die Batterie minder ist. All right, so let me find. Let me find the handout because es gab viele Fehler. So there were a lot of mistakes, and I want to go over that with you. All right. All right, so let me reshare. Okay, so all right, so können Sie das Handout sehen? Everybody can see the handout?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can get a little bit bigger. All right. So das erste. Read this. All right. So heißt du? Was ist das Fragewort?
How are you called?
Right. So what's the question word that goes in the blank?
Wie.
Right. Wie heißt du? All right. How about kommst du? What goes in the blank here?
Wo.
Woher?
Yeah. Woher kommst du? Wo kommst du? Where do you come? That doesn't make any sense. You can't use wo. It has to be woher. From where do you come? Even if somebody, you know, is coming down the street and you ask somebody, woher kommst du? Oh, von da oben, you know. It isn't just to ask somebody where they're originally from, but also where did you just come from? But it has to be woher. It can't be wo. It doesn't make any sense to say wo kommst du. How about gehst du?
Wie.
Wie gehst du? Okay, you could ask that, you know, how do you go? Like, how are you walking? That would work. What else?
Wo. Wo gehst du?
Wo gehst du? No. Have to use wohin gehst du? To where are you going? Not where do you go? Wo gehst du? It has to be wohin, because if you're going somewhere, you have to be going to somewhere. Okay.
Hmm?
All right. Ist das Klassenzimmer?
Was? Was?
Was doesn't work. What is the classroom? It's either
Wo.
wo oder
Wo.
wie ist das Klassenzimmer.
Welche?
Welche ist das Klassenzimmer? No. Which is the classroom? No.
Oh, I thought it
Oh,
was
wo.
what's
Wo
the
ist the
classroom
class-
number?
Wo ist das Klassenzimmer? Where you can use wie, how is the classroom? That would work. But was ist das Klassenzimmer? That's not going to work because we already know what it is. It's a classroom. So you can't ask what is the classroom? It's a classroom. So that doesn't work. Okay. So wie would work. Wo would work. And that's it. Okay. Ist deine Telefonnummer?
Was?
Was ist oder wie ist? Either one of those two work. These were all right. Wie viel ist 7 plus 5? Wie viele Bücher hast du? That was good. Lernst du Deutsch? You could do a couple of these too.
I
Warum?
did warum.
We, the,
Warum oder wie lernst du Deutsch? That would work too. Okay, oder wo lernst du Deutsch? Where are you learning German? How are you learning German? Why are you learning German? Okay. Wann lernst du Deutsch? When are you learning German would work too. Okay, so that one's pretty open. You can't do was lernst du Deutsch? That doesn't make any sense. Farbe hat der Tisch.
Welche?
Welche
Was?
Farbe?
no,
Has to
was.
be this because welches is an article, and that's what this needs to have in front of it is an article. And so welche we always use with questions. So welche Farbe hat der Tisch? Which color does the table have? Okay.
Oh.
Kommt der Bus?
Okay,
Go ahead.
I chose was for was Farbe hat der Tisch.
That won't work. It has to be
Okay.
welche because it needs to be an article. And welche works as an article because it has to agree with the gender and the case of the noun here. In German, you always have to have an article in front of the nouns. So, was Farbe hat der Tisch? That won't work. You'd have to do something like, was für Farbe hat der Tisch? You know, was für eine Farbe,
Yeah,
something like
yeah.
that. Okay, but it has to be welche in this case. All right, kommt der Bus?
Wann?
Wann kommt der Bus? When does the bus come? You could say, woher kommt der Bus? From where is the bus coming? Wie kommt der Bus? Maybe it's got a flat tire. Okay, V would be probably the lesser of the ones, but it would make sense. You could get away with doing that. Wann kommt der Bus? Okay, und dann das letzte, ist der Professor? Wer ist der Professor? Wo ist der Professor? Wie ist der Professor? You know, what's he like? Ist intelligent, ist alt, ist jung. So you could use wie, wer, we're actually asking his name. Und dann wo, wir sitzen hier im Klassenzimmer, wo ist der Professor? You know, we're sitting here in class, where is the professor? Okay. All right, good. Sometimes they don't correspond to English. You know, a lot of times it'll work, we say it in English, it'll work in German. Other times they won't work in German just because we can do something one way in English, okay?
Yeah, the genders always trip me up.
Right, and that's something I have a video to show, and you guys are gonna think it's funny. I thought it was funny because even the Germans can't give you a rhyme or reason for why the genders are what they are, so. Okay, all right, dann wieder zurück. Okay, so gut. Die Fragen. So, welche Sprachen sprichst du? Was sind Sprachen?
Languages.
Languages, yep.
Oh, language.
So, Sophie, welche Sprachen sprichst du?
What did you say? Sorry.
Welche Sprachen sprichst du? Das allererste. The very first question on the list.
Yeah. Sorry, I forgot what that means.
So which languages do you speak? Ich spreche.
Swedish, English, Spanish, Danish, and Norwegian.
Kann heute nicht tippen. Spanisch, English, was noch? What else, Sophie?
Danish and Norwegian.
Okay, good. Aha, gut. Und ein bisschen Deutsch, right? Sehr gut. Dennis, welche Sprachen sprichst du?
Ich spreche Englisch, Russian,
Mhm.
Ukrainian.
Mhm.
That's all.
Mhm. Und ein bisschen Deutsch. Okay, gut.
Ja.
Jazeel, welche Sprachen sprichst du?
How do I pronounce sorry, speak, is it spreche?
Ich
Or-
spreche. Aha.
Spreche? Ich spreche Spanish und English.
Aha, gut. Und Deutsch. Sehr gut. Cheryl, welche Sprachen sprichst du?
Ich spreche English und ein bisschen Spanish.
Aha, gut. Und Deutsch. Lydia, welche Sprachen
Deutsch.
sprichst du?
Ich spreche Englisch und ein bisschen Deutsch.
Aha, gut. Wie viele Klassen hast du diesen Semester? Wie viele Klassen? Dennis, wie viele Klassen hast du diesen Semester?
Ich hasse 4 Klassen.
4 Klassen, okay. So ich habe.
Ich habe, ja.
Aha. Okay, gut. Sophie, wie viele Klassen hast du diesen Semester?
Ich habe Klassen semester, hotel work experience, German, safety and sanitation and accounting.
Okay, gut. So auch 4 Klassen, so einen vollen Semester. Okay. Jonathan, wie viele Klassen hast du diesen Semester?
Ich habe 3 Klassen.
Mhm, gut, sehr gut. Let's see.
Mm.
Jaime, wie viele Klassen hast du
Oh.
diesen Semester?
Ich habe Klasse in, I don't know how to say critical thinking. And,
Oh, ja, ich weiß auch nicht, was das auf Deutsch ist. So, weiß ich nicht. So
Das-
sag es auf English, critical thinking. I don't know if there's an equivalent in German for critical thinking.
Rhetoric, perhaps? Is there a word for that?
I mean, vielleicht Philosophie. Aber hat das nicht mit Philosophie etwas zu tun? Doesn't it
Yeah,
have something to
well,
do with philosophy, maybe?
Yeah, probably. Honestly, it's not my thing. I don't like it. I have to take it though.
Oh my gosh, my daughter had to take it last semester and she hated that class.
Spanish and Deutsch.
Sehr gut. Ja, sie sagt auch, sie kann nicht so denken. She showed me some of the stuff. I didn't get it either, so
Because I
I
speak
thought it was
Spanish,
pretty
but-
abstract. Huh?
I speak Spanish, but I'm not good at writing it. So
Uh-huh.
I gotta put better at that.
Ja, es ist interessant. Eva, wie viele Klassen hast du diesen Semester?
Ich habe 4 Klassen.
Okay, sehr, sehr gut. All right. Gut. Wir sprechen noch nicht über das, noch nicht über das Wochenende. Wow, Jonathan. Interessant. So, bisschen interessant. Deutsch und eine Geschichteklasse über die Nazi-Zeit. That's gotta be kind of
Yeah. It was an accident.
Oh, okay. Interessant. Okay, sehr gut. Farben. So, machen wir, let me get out of this. Und in dem Buch gibt es in den Wortschatz, go. Oh, sorry. Gibt es die Liste von Farben auf Deutsch, verschiedene Farben. So. Okay, so yeah. All right, so verschiedene Farben auf Deutsch. So beige, genau, wir auf Englisch, blau, braun, gelb und so weiter. So, welche Farbe hat dein Auto? Die Lieblingsfarbe. Okay, so wieder das Lieblings vor ein Wort macht es your favorite. Okay, every time you put Lieblings in front of something, it becomes your favorite. Your favorite color, Lieblingsfarbe, Lieblingsauto, Lieblingsbuch, Lieblingsfilm und so weiter. Danke, Markus. Okay, so dann frage ich hier. Mein Computer. Komm, kleiner Computer, arbeite mit mir. Okay, so dann die Frage ist, welche Farbe ist deine Lieblingsfarbe? All right, so Dennis, welche Farbe ist deine Lieblingsfarbe?
Meine Lieblingsfarbe?
Aha.
Lieblingsfarbe is like color. Okay. Ich hasse. Okay, sorry. I don't have like favorite color.
Okay, so ich habe keine Lieblingsfarbe.
Ich habe keine Lieblingsfarbe. Ja.
I have no favorite color. Aha, gut. Lydia, welche Farbe ist deine Lieblingsfarbe?
Meine Lieblingsfarbe ist grün.
Grün, aha, gut. Giselle, welche Farbe ist deine Lieblingsfarbe?
Liebling ist blau oder schwarz.
Aha, sehr gut. Marcus ist nicht da. Eva, welche Farbe ist deine Lieblingsfarbe?
Meine Lieblingsfarbe ist schwarz.
Schwarz, aha, gut. Cheryl, welche Farbe ist deine Lieblingsfarbe?
Meine Lieblingsfarbe ist rot. Es
Oh.
ist die Farbe meiner Schule, weil Bakersfield College.
Oh, okay. All right, good. Sehr schön. Jaime, welche Farbe ist deine Lieblingsfarbe?
Can you repeat that again?
Aha. Welche Farbe ist deine Lieblingsfarbe? Oder was ist deine Lieblingsfarbe?
I'm sorry, you added another word in there. I'm assuming that it's still a favorite color, but I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
I asked you, I put the deine in there as your favorite color.
Grün.
Grün, okay,
Mhm.
gut. Mhm. Sehr gut. Markus, welche Farbe oder was ist deine Lieblingsfarbe?
Rot. Rot.
Rot. Mhm,
Ist
sehr gut.
meine Lieblingsfarbe.
Aha, sehr gut. Welche Farbe hat dein Auto? Jonathan, welche Farbe hat dein Auto?
Mein Fahrrad ist Lilia.
Ist lila. Very good, okay?
Lila.
Wenn man kein Auto hat, kann man sagen, ich habe kein Auto. Jonathan war ganz gut, sagt, mein Fahrrad ist. Okay, so sehr gut, ein Auto, aber ein Fahrrad. Wenn man ein Motorrad hat, was ist ein Motorrad?
A motorcycle.
A motorcycle, okay? So, manche Leute fahren ein Motorrad.
Nick habe.
Mhm. Okay. Dennis, welche Farbe hat dein Auto?
Meine liebe Auto schwarz.
Ist schwarz, okay, gut. Jacille, welche Farbe hat dein Auto?
Meine. Is it Farb first or?
So,
Meine.
mein Auto ist.
Oh.
You can just say my car is schwarz oder rot oder gelb.
Mein Auto ist grau.
Grau, aha, gut. Sophie, welche Farbe hat dein Auto?
Mein Auto blau.
Ist blau, gut. So, wenn man sagen will, like dark blue, dunkelblau, you'll put the dunkel in front of the color. Dunkel grün, dunkelrot. Und wenn etwas hell ist, if it's a lighter color, mein Auto ist hellblau oder hellgrün. Oder, I don't know, was gibt's noch in Autos, was hell ist? You know, weiß, und man wird nicht sagen, es ist hellweiß. You know, that it's light white. Okay. So, wenn etwas
could also add-
ist, dunkel vor der Farbe und hell vor der Farbe makes it a lighter color. Bitte?
Oh, you could add silver. Silver. It's
Yeah.
really the same thing, right?
Mhm.
So with a
Mein
B.
Auto ist Silber. Okay, und es gab mal eine Zeit, wo Autos eine goldene Farbe war. There were cars out there, especially Mercedes, they're kind of a gold color. Ich glaube, sie machen die Farbe nimmer. Weil es war eine komische Farbe. It was a really weird color. Aber Silber, es gibt noch so Autos. Die älteren Autos, older cars still have that silver metallic color out there. Okay.
Newer cars have silver too, though.
Haben Sie es? Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty new.
I worked in the shop once for a car shop. One of the most expensive colors that was the camouflage ones. You know those ones that you look at one angle and they look one other color versus if you look at them straight in front, they look like a different color.
Oh, interessant.
How do you say camouflage? Is it the same?
Well, I think that is like color changing or something, because usually when I hear camouflage car, I think of the ones that are like spotted intentionally.
Yeah.
To to like camouflage into brush or look like a army car.
All I know is that they're really expensive, those colors.
Yeah, so let me see. Ob es ein deutsches Wort gibt dafür.
Iridescent.
No,
No,
there's
das ist
something
wieder was
else.
anderes. Iridescent is something different again. Okay, wo ist mein? Ich habe ein App. Oh, here.
I'm-
Ich habe ein App dafür. Let's see.
Yeah, I know like some of the cars that I'm really kind of bummed that the discontinued silver in the car I wanted to get that I'm ordered. So
So, I don't know, camouflage ist ähnlich wie Tarnung, Tarnung, Tarnung. Das habe ich noch nie, I've never heard that word before. So, but die deutschen Autos kommen nicht in camouflage. I don't think you'd ever see a Porsche or Mercedes in any type of a camouflage color. Maybe that iridescent Farbe könnte man als einen Porsche oder BMW, ich glaube, die hier bei Santa Barbara Auto Group gab es ein elektrisches BMW, der hatte zwei Farben, blau und weiß. There was a two-colored BMW here for a while. It was an electric car. Sehr teuer, aber jemand hat es gekauft. Somebody did buy it. Aber es hatte zwei Farben, blau und weiß gehabt. So zweifarbig, two-toned. Okay, good. All right. So, wieder zurück. So, wenn man jemand fragt, welche Farbe hat dein T-Shirt oder Sweatshirt oder Hemd oder Bluse, was sie tragen? Es ist ein bisschen schwierig zu sehen mit Zoom, aber ihr weißt ja die Farbe von T-Shirt oder Hemd, right? You guys know what colors you're wearing. Some of you I can see, some of you don't have your cameras on. So like ich sehe, dass Lydia ein blaues Sweatshirt hat oder ist das eine Bluse?
Eine Bluse.
Eine Bluse. So sie hat ein blaues. So ihre Bluse ist blau. Her blouse is blue. Cheryl hat eine Bluse, die ist rötlich. It's kind of a red color, right? Jaime, du hast ein Hemd, das ist dunkel something, right? Dunkelblau oder dunkelgrün? Oder ist es schwarz?
Oh.
I don't know, Jaime,
It's gray.
welche Farbe hat dein Hemd? Your shirt.
Gray. It's
Oh,
gray.
es ist grau. Okay.
Grau and black and some.
Okay, so grau und schwarz. All right, gut. Let's see. Und die anderen haben ihre Kameras aus, so haben keine Idee. So sie müssen es uns erzählen. So everybody else is going to have to tell us, welche Farbe hat deine Kleidung? What color are your clothes that you're wearing? Ava, welche Farbe hat deine Kleidung? What color are your clothes that you're wearing?
Mine T-shirt is blau.
Uh-huh.
How do you say light again?
Hell.
Hell blau.
Aha, gut. So hellblau. Sehr gut. Marcus, welche Farben hat deine Kleidung?
Meine T-Shirt ist schwarz.
Schwarz, okay, gut. Dennis, welche Farbe hat deine Kleidung?
Meine Kleidung ist blau.
Okay, gut. So, weiß nicht, ob ihr alle Schuhe trägt, aber welche Farbe haben deine Schuhe? Jonathan, welche Farbe haben deine Schuhe? Maybe you're wearing shoes, maybe not.
Mine, ist mein Schuh ist brown, brown,
Mhm.
schwarz,
Okay.
schwarz, the word for light again, there's light
Hell.
and dark.
Okay.
Hell.
Hell.
Hell,
Right
Hell.
here. Hellblau. Mhm.
hellgrau.
Very good. Sehr gut. Sie hat uns auch einen Schuh gezeigt. You know, we had a visual there. So das ist gut. Wer trägt noch
Ja.
Schuhe? Ich selber habe Hausschuhe an. Meine Hausschuhe
Ja.
sind dunkelblau. Ich habe dunkelblaue Hausschuhe. Okay. Wer noch?
Gut.
Wer trägt noch Schuhe? Hat noch jemand Schuhe an? Anybody else wearing shoes?
Yeah.
Jaime, welche Farbe haben deine Schuhe?
That's Schwartz. Schwartz, is it? Yeah. Schwartz and orange. Is that how you say it? I'm not
Orange.
sure. Orange. Okay. At the bottom.
Okay, good.
Or I don't know. Is it? Let me see. It's all dark in here. I gotta turn light. Nice. It is kind of an orange at the bottom. You see that?
Okay, good. All right, sehr gut. All right. Cheryl, trägst du heute Schuhe? Are you wearing shoes? Du bist ja in deinem Büro. Are you in your office? Yeah. So, welche Farbe haben deine Schuhe?
Meine Schuhe haben schwarz.
Schwarz. Okay, good. Very good. Marcus, welche Farbe haben deine Schuhe?
Nachtsschuhe. I'm not wearing shoes. I don't know.
Keine Schuhe. So, ich habe keine Schuhe.
Ja, keine Schuhe.
Gut, gut. Right. Weiter, so ein bisschen weiter. So, ist die Sonne gelb oder grün? So, welche Farbe hat die Sonne? Gelb oder grün?
Gelb.
Gelb. Gelb.
So sagt man, ja. Ist das Gras blau? Oder welche Farbe
Nein.
ist das Gras?
Es ist grün.
Es ist grün.
Grün.
Gut. Ist ein Elefant grau oder braun?
Grau.
Wow.
Grau. Welche Farbe hat das Haus, in dem der Präsident wohnt?
Weiß.
Weiß, right? Das ist das weiße Haus. Welche Farbe hat Schokolade?
Brown.
Es ist braun.
Es ist braun, right? Oder dunkelbraun vielleicht. Okay. Welche Farbe hat ein Zebra?
Schwarz und weiß.
Schwarz und weiß. Gut, sehr gut. Ein bisschen mehr mit dem Wort. Also wir haben schon gefragt, was jeder trägt heute. So, ich trage. I don't know, wer mir das geschrieben hat. Sorry. Brauchst du viel Geld im Monat? So, auf die Wortschatzseiten haben sie gefragt über Geld und Sparkontos und Kreditkarten und so weiter. So, brauchst du viel Geld im Monat? You need a lot of money each month.
So.
So, okay. All right. Ich brauche viel Geld im Monat. Ich gebe zu viel Geld aus. I give out too much money. I spend too much money. benutzen die Deutschen Kreditkarten? Do Germans use credit cards? Was denkt
Yeah.
Es wird immer mehr. It's becoming more, especially wenn die Deutschen reisen, when they travel. They've learned that using credit cards is an easier way to go than to carry money or having to exchange money. Das teuer ist. You know, it costs money to exchange money. You have to always pay a fee for exchanging money. Und heutzutage gibt es nimmer Reisechecks, travel checks, traveler's checks. They don't do that anymore. Yeah, schon lang weg. So nobody does those anymore.
Yeah, mein Vater fliegt. You know, I start these sentences and I think I can finish them.
No, go ahead.
The first time I went traveling, my dad, like traveling all on my own. I was 19 at the time. This was 2017, and my dad was freaking out. He's terrified of airplanes, and he said, "Okay, so what we'll do in case you get robbed or in case your luggage gets lost, we'll send you with traveler's checks." And they didn't laugh him off the phone when he called about them, but they came pretty close.
Like, ja, es gab mal traveler's checks. Ich selber habe sie nie benutzt, aber meine Eltern haben sie benutzt. So yeah, there's no such thing anymore. Aber die Deutschen, die bezahlen immer mit Bargeld. They pay in cash. Germans are big about paying everything in cash. Aber wenn man viel reist, das kann gefährlich sein, right? Carrying a lot of cash can be dangerous. So sie werden jetzt besser mit die Kreditkarten. You know, they're more apt now to use credit cards and debit cards because, and it's much easier if it gets lost or stolen to get them replaced and so on. So, aber, you know, es ist immer mit die Deutschen, wenn sie zu Hause sind, alles mit Bargeld bezahlt. Everything is paid in cash, groceries in cash. Bills are pulled up, you know, they've done, what do we do? The online bill pay. There was things set up, you know, many years ago where things were automatically deducted from bank accounts to pay for your utilities and stuff long before we had online banking type stuff. So das war immer automatisch. That was always automatically done. So, you know, and rent paying, that was done in cash, or also set up somehow with your landlord. You know, I never inquired about that because I never rented anything in Germany, because, you know, Germans do a lot of renting. You know, they rent a place for their entire lives. It's not like here where, you know, you rent an apartment for a while, maybe you'll buy something, you know, obviously vielleicht nicht in Santa Barbara, aber sonst irgendwo. Aber in Deutschland, die Leute mieten Wohnungen viel lang. They do it for years. Meine Mutter hatte ein Haus in Deutschland und die Mieter waren für 40 Jahre in der Wohnung. So they rented from my mother for 40 years until they.
I know, and it makes no sense because you don't have to pay property tax the way you do here.
You know,
income tax. I mean, it's a no-brainer to buy something there. Here, you're paying.
Yeah, aber sie haben, wie ich sage, für 40 Jahre gemietet. They rented for 40 years. Und dann haben sie, you know, am Ende gefragt, ob sie das Haus kaufen können. You know, then they wanted to buy the house because meine Schwester und ich wollten das Haus nicht. Und so meine Mutter wollte verkaufen. My mother decided she needed to sell the house. So because we didn't want it, so she did. She sold it to the renters that had been there for 40 years. So, you know, es ist ein bisschen anders in Deutschland als hier. All right, so hast du einen Job? Was ist der Unterschied zwischen einem Job und eine Arbeit? Oder deine Arbeit, die richtige Arbeit? So here the word job is not similar to when you ask somebody, you know, do you have a job? This is, you know, something you do to go along with school whatever. It's not necessarily your career. Where here, job and career can be interchanged. In German, a job is something you do to make money while you're going to school so you can live, or something like that. It's not your career, okay? So viele Studenten in Deutschland haben einen Job, you know, so vielleicht in ein Restaurant oder an der Uni haben sie einen Job, dass sie paar Stunden in der Woche machen. So, you know, German students may have a job, you know, campus job or something outside so that they can pay their rent to live. Okay, it's not that they're paying tuition per se, but they need to pay to live somewhere. Okay, so sie haben dann einen Job. Hast du eine Kreditkarte und benutzt du die Kreditkarte? So, habt ihr Kreditkarten als Studentin?
Ja.
Ja.
Zwei und Visa und ein Debit.
Aha, gut. Und benutzt du die Kreditkarten? Do you use them or do you just have them?
So.
So, okay, gut. All right, gut. Wer benutzt, oder wer hat noch Kreditkarten und benutzt die Kreditkarten? Oder überbrauchen. Was ist überbrauchen? That's to overuse. So, you know, kann man die Kreditkarten überbrauchen? Can you overuse your credit card? Sehr einfach, right? Very easy.
Yeah.
Fine.
Ein nicht.
Okay, das ist gut.
I never have.
Okay, gut. Ja, man kann ja in ein finanzielles Loch kommen, right? You can get into a financial hole wenn man sie überbraucht, if you overuse your cards. Okay, aber als Amerikaner, Kreditkarten sind ja groß, right? Americans are big with credit cards. You know, everything can be bought on credit. Okay, so nicht ganz so in Deutschland. Go ahead. Nope. Okay. All right. So ein bisschen wiederholen von Verb konjugieren. So a little bit more on kind of just a review on conjugating verbs. So we have spielen. This is the infinitive of the verb to play. You take off the en ending. So then you have spiel. Now you have the stem of the verb and you'll add the endings to the stem. So ich spiele, du spielst, spielt, sie spielt, es spielt, wir spielen, ihr spielt, sie spielen, und dann sie spielen. So this is the they that goes with these three. And then this is the formal you, the plural you, informal, and then the do, informal. So actually the ear is the plural of do, okay? So these are the endings that you put on regular verbs. Okay, so in German, a regular verb is considered ein schwaches Verb. Okay, schwache Verben are weak verbs. Okay, those are ones that follow these endings. There's no stem change, nothing. Starke Verben are the irregular verbs. So strong verbs are the ones that are irregular, that can have a stem change. They can have different endings. Sometimes they don't have the third person endings and so on. These verbs, irregular verbs, starke Verben, are usually the things we do every day, like essen, schlafen, fahren. Let's see. What else? Fahren. It's your everyday verbs that you use to talk about living and things like that. So it's kind of interesting that the irregular verbs are the ones that are used the most because they describe what people do on a regular basis. Okay. And then, weak verbs, there's obviously a lot more weak verbs. than strong verbs, but these are the verbs we use the most. Okay, so as we start, we'll cover some of the strong verbs, some of the changes that occur in the conjugation. But, for now, regular verbs, regular conjugation. You take the en ending off, you have the stem, and then you add the conjugated endings to the stem of the verb. Okay. All right, and again, verbs whose stem ends in an S or a Z will not take an additional S in the do form. So tanzen, du tanzt. It's not going to be du tanzest that we're going to add an S in here, because we know that the ST ending is the do ending, but there's already a Z in here. We don't need another S sound. So there won't be any ST, just the T ending. And then verbs whose stems end in T or D, we'll add an E before the ST or the T ending for pronunciation. Du findest, findet, SCS findet. So we're putting an E in there just because of pronunciation. Otherwise, you'd have all these consonants together that you couldn't pronounce. Okay, so a T and a D will call for an added E for pronunciation, an S and a Z, no additional S in the do form. All right, so the verb is always in the second position, the conjugated verb. Ich spiele heute Tennis. So first element is the subject, second element is the conjugated verb, and then everything else. Heute spiele ich Tennis. In this sentence, the time element is the first element, conjugated verb is in the second position, and then everything else. Okay, der Student spielt Tennis, die Kinder spielen Tennis. Here a plural ending conjugation because the subject is plural. Michael und ich spielen Tennis, we play tennis. Anytime ich is in there, it's the we ending. Karin, Michael und du spielt Tennis, the ihr ending because of the do in there. Okay, so if you have a list of people and I am in there, you have to use the we ending for, via. And if you have a list of people and do in there, you have to use the ear. Okay, because there's a bunch of there's a plural, you because of the you in there. If we had Karin, Michael und Maria spielen Tennis, it's the C ending because it's they. So we have Karin, Michael und Maria spielen tennis. Okay, and that would be C. Okay, because this is the they. All right, so do is in there, it's the ear form. If ich is in there, it's the via form. Okay.
Right, but just real quick, so and do, if it's Karen, Michael, und sie spielen, like do as like instead of do, but z is in the formal version of you.
Right, then we would have to use the formal you ending. So that you'd have Karin, Karin, Michael und sie spielen tennis. You're using the C form.
Okay.
And it's the C form and not the they form because the C is capitalized. Remember, this C is capitalized no matter where it is in the sentence. If it's at the beginning of the sentence or in the middle of the sentence, it's always capitalized.
It's kind of confusing because when you say ear, like, I guess okay, I got it. I was just getting confused with I thought there was something else about the ear with the Z versus the ear with the do, but okay. Well, which it is, but like
right,
you
the do is singular and the ear is plural.
Yeah, plural is right.
Yeah. Okay. Does this make sense? Kind of, you have to remember here, you're using they because it's these three people. And even if we just had Karen and Michael, that's still they, because it's more than one person. So Karen und Michael spielen Tennis. If you had du by itself, it would be du spielst Tennis. It would just be the du. But here, because we have Karen und Michael und du, it's ihr, that you all are playing tennis. You and Karen and Michael are playing tennis. Okay. All right, gern und nicht gern. All right, so if you like to do something, you're going to put gern after the conjugated verb to say, I like to play tennis. So ich spiele gern Tennis. Okay, this works only with verbs. The gern has to follow the conjugated verb in order for you to be able to say, I like to play tennis. Okay, ich spiele gern Tennis. Du spielst gern Fußball. Michael spielt gern Tischtennis und so weiter. So the gern comes after the conjugated verb to talk about something that you like. Ich mache gern Rouladen. I like to make Rouladen. Oder ich koche gern Rouladen. It's a dish. Ich esse gern pizza. Okay, so the gern has to follow the conjugated verb to make it that it's something that you like, to do, to play, to eat, to bake, to cook, and so on. If you don't like to do something, nicht gern comes after the verb. Okay, ich spiele nicht gern Wasserball. I don't like to play water polo. Ich esse nicht gern Rosenkohl. Rosenkohl are Brussels sprouts. Okay, und so weiter. All right, so gern after the conjugated verb, I like to do something. Nicht gern after the conjugated verb, I don't like to do something. Okay, and it needs to be in this position. The conjugated verb is in the second position, and then the gern or the nicht gern are right after the conjugated verb. It's not the end of the world if you write, ich spiele Wasserball nicht gern. Okay, it's not the end of the world if you do that. That's fine. You're still telling us the same thing, that you don't like to play water polo. Okay, it needs to be after the conjugated verb, but sometimes you're writing along and then you're like, oh wait, I forgot to put that in there, and you put it at the end. It's okay. People will know what you're talking about. Okay, and as you get more comfortable with this, then you'll put these things in the right place. But it should come after the conjugated verb. Grammatically, that's where it goes, because you're liking what the verb is telling you. Okay, there's another verb when you like an item. Okay, this is that you like to do something, not that you like tennis. Okay, it's like you like to play tennis, not that you like tennis. Okay, though when we say I like to play tennis, it's saying the same thing, but the gern is describing the verb, not the noun. All right, so was machen Sie gern? What do you like to do? Oops, sorry. So Jaime, was machen Sie gern?
I think I answered it earlier. I like watching British television. That's really what I like
okay.
to do.
So ich sehe gern englische Fernseh. So ich sehe gern englische Fernsehprogramme. Let's do it that way. English TV programs. Okay, so ich sehe gern englische Fernsehprogramme. We'll make them plural. Okay, good. Okay.
There's not a word for British?
Huh?
There's not a word for British in there?
Nein, sie sagen Englisch. Das sind Engländer. Okay. Gut. Jonathan, was magst du gern?
Mm, ich, ich lese gern.
Gut. Mhm, sehr gut. Ich lese gern. Aha, Lydia, was magst du gern?
Ich schon, I know I say that a lot, listen. It is not because I don't have anything better. It's because I'm next to you actually can't see it, but you just see the edge of it. It's a bookshelf that goes up to the wall, and there's another bookshelf in the closet, and there's two piles of library books over there. I really like to read.
Auch hinter dir. Also behind you is a pile of books. So, sehr schön. Mhm, gut. So sie
Those are
hat
my
ein
parents.
Bücherregal voll Bücher. So she said she has a bookcase full of books, ein Bücherregal. Ah, gut. Lydia, was magst du gern?
Ich spiele Gitarre, aber ich habe überhaupt nie Zeit dazu. Ich habe Skilaufen. Skilaufen.
Yeah, Skilaufen.
Skilaufen.
You don't need the word machen in there. You're going to use the verbs like Skilaufen is a verb. So ich laufe Ski.
Laufe Ski.
Gehe spazieren. Those kinds of things. Those are the verbs you're going to use. You can leave machen out. Was magst du gern? What do you like to do? And then when you are talking about, other verbs, you can't use two verbs together. You get rid of the machen and you use whatever verb is.
So ich laufe Ski gern. Ich spiele Gitarre gern. Ich reise, how do you say travel?
Ja, ich reise gern.
Ich reise gern und let's see, so and ich weiß nicht, I don't know how to say this. It's weird, and I guess I don't really like to do, but I don't really have a choice. I have to design. We're constantly remodeling on our houses, and and it's kind of fun designing. How would you say designing? I guess just designing. I'm like redesigning a pool. We're just redoing our pool and patio and spa and all that stuff. So I'm designing it. And it's kind of fun. So I'm enjoying the design process, but it's not designing like architecture. I don't know.
So it's kind of like renovating though. So Renovierung.
I don't know. What would you say? Yeah. And I do kind of enjoy it. It's not like it's something I'm like passionate, but I do find I'm doing it. I'm really kind of liking it. I'm learning.
Okay. All right.
So it's fun.
Okay.
What would you call it in German? What would that word be though? I'm kind of curious.
You'd say, ich renoviere, ich zeichne, that your zeichnen is like to draw. And I mean, designing is kind of like, you're drawing something together. Because usually it's, when people are, like redecorating or redesigning something, say renovieren, they're renovating something. So,
So renoviere, that's a word? Okay, I didn't know the German.
Ich
renoviere.
Renovierung is to remodel or redesign.
Okay,
sehr gut. All right, noch was mit nicht und kein. All right, these are not interchangeable words. Okay, when to use nicht, when to use kein. Okay, kein is actually an article that negates any noun that has like an ein or an eine in front of it. Okay, if you say ich habe ein Auto, then ich habe kein Auto, I have no car. So here I have a car, ich habe kein Auto, I have no car. Linda hat eine Katze. Ich habe keine Katze. Okay, Linda has a cat, I have no cat. Nicht is used to negate everything else. Das ist nicht mein Auto. Okay, in this case, the Auto is preceded by mine. So it's a specific car. So we're using nicht. We're negating that it's not my car. Might be somebody else's car. Der Professor ist nicht der Deutschprofessor. Okay, he's not the German professor. We're not saying that he's a German professor. We're saying he's the German professor. So here we're negating that he's not the German professor. Ich spiele nicht oft Fußball. I don't play soccer often. Okay, so kein is only used when there would be an ein or an understood ein in front of the noun. Otherwise, if it's something more specific, we have to use nicht to negate it. So, ich habe ein Auto, ich habe kein Auto, aber das Auto ist nicht mein Auto. Und das Auto ist nicht das rote Auto. Okay. Okay, so there isn't an ein in front of this. It's a specific car. Das rote Auto is the red car. Again, a specific car. So we're using nicht. And the best way to remember where to put the nicht is it should always precede what you are negating. There's times where nicht has to be somewhere else, but for the most part, you can put the nicht in front of what you're negating. And that way it's, you know, easier to remember where to put it. Then you're like, okay, where am I supposed to put this nicht? The kein always has to precede the noun that it's negating, okay? Because this will also have endings like we had here. Keine Katze, eine Katze, kein Auto. This is neuter. This is feminine. This is feminine. So it's kein is an article, has to be in front of a noun, has to be in front of the noun that it's negating. Okay. The nicht goes in front of everything that it's negating. Okay. Nicht mein Auto, nicht der Deutschprofessor, nicht oft. I don't often play soccer. So it's negating the oft here. Here it's negating the German professor. And here it's negating my car. Jaime, question.
Yes, I've heard the ch sound with the ch also. Why is it that it's nicht?
It's dialectic.
Okay.
It's where you're from. There's also like the sch sound, ish, and that's a dialect. I can't remember the regions. Ich they use in Bavaria, in Austria, the hard ch. So that's why you hear that from me. When you're listening to, you know, on the videos, some of the people that are talking pronounce it a little bit with an sch sound.
Yeah.
That, you know, it's regional. It's where where you're from. Because remember,
Yeah,
there's a
on
lot of dialects
Duolingo.
in German.
Took me a while to figure that out. And on Duolingo, just when I thought I got a word figured out, then the next character said it differently. And then finally I realized, oh, I guess people say words differently sometimes.
Right. Because there's quite a few different dialects. I mean, there's the obvious dialects, and then there's, you know, some areas where it's not as obvious. I mean, and there's, you know, areas in German like Plattdeutsch, very hard to understand. A lot of Germans have trouble understanding. So it's, you know, it's dialectic. So that's why you're going to hear that with ish. And that's why when you're using the book, you know, take advantage of listening to the vocabulary pronunciations, how they're doing it compared to how I'm doing it, because different dialects. And it's good to hear that, because if you travel through Germany, you will hear different dialects. And it's good to, you know, to hear that. You know, but like I said, you know, everybody can write proper German and everybody can speak proper German, but, you know, a lot of regions have different dialects. I mean, we have dialects here in the United States too. So, you know, if you go to the South, I mean, you know, there's people in the South that I think people from California can't understand.
I just thought we were supposed to say in certain ways. I don't know why.
No, it's, you know, There at the end of each of the chapters in the book too, they sometimes talk about, they do pronunciation exercises. Go through that. If you have time, go through some of those, because they go through and do different pronunciations of things like the CH, the like the Z sound can be different depending on the area in Germany. So
in singing, they seem to use the other one more though, right? The
in
S.
singing, yeah, and that's different again when people sing, because they're trying to get it to rhyme with something. You'll see that if you continue with Germany, you read German literature, especially poetry, they manipulate the language a lot too. We tell you, okay, you have to write in this way, and then you get these poets that totally manipulate the language, and you're like, wait a minute, that's not grammatically correct. Yeah, but they're poets, and they can do whatever they want, and they're famous poets, so they can really do whatever they want. So okay. All right. Wir fliegen nicht nach Berlin. All right. So again, we're negating nach Berlin. Okay. We could be negating the flying too. I mean, the clarification would be as you continue the conversation. Wir fliegen nicht nach Berlin. Wir nehmen den Bus nach Berlin. Okay. We may not be flying to Berlin. We might take the bus. Oder wir fliegen nicht nach Berlin. Wir fliegen nach München. Okay. So, as you continue the conversation, it clarifies what was being negated. Okay. Here, it could be, we're not going at all to Berlin, period, end of story, but, best rule of thumb is to put the nicht in front of what you're negating. Thomas und Eva lernen nicht viel Deutsch. Ich gehe nicht oft einkaufen. I don't go shopping a lot. Okay, so the position of nicht, again, put it in front of what you're negating. Keine Ahnung, warum man das hat. All right. Questions about that? I'm going to show you, I have a couple of videos here, but we have enough time, we'll come back to this, but I want to show you the video about the gender, because this was pretty amusing when they were asking actual.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, it's tut mir leid, but it threw me out.
There she
I
is.
don't know why. I got thrown out of Zoom again. This time I'm at home, so I'm not sure what the deal is with that. So, all right. So let me open this.
Lydia had to run off for the day. She has something to do.
All right, so.
And Cheryl, I think you were too.
Let me share
that
with you. Alles rausgeschmissen. So yeah, I don't know why this happened. Yesterday it was at the school. Today it's here at home. I got a notification that said your internet is weak, but yet my little bars were very high. So kind of on it. Okay, so here they're trying to how to learn a word's gender in German.
Eines der schwersten Dinge beim Erlernen der deutschen Sprache ist es, die Artikel zu lernen. Im Deutschen gibt es 3 Artikel bzw. 3 grammatische Geschlechter. Der, die und das. Die Artikel muss man lernen, um ein Wort richtig zu deklinieren. Und wenn man ein Wort ohne einen Artikel lernt, dann hat man tatsächlich relativ lange Probleme, ein Wort in einem Satz richtig zu benutzen. Viele von euch kennen das. Stehe ich auf das Straße, auf die Straße oder auf der Straße? Welche Muster gibt es also? Warum heißt es der Elefant, aber die Giraffe? Und warum heißt es der Junge, aber das Mädchen? Gibt es da irgendeine Logik? Wir haben mal ein paar Deutsche auf der Straße gefragt, ob sie das erklären können. Könnt ihr die Artikel zu diesen Wörtern vorlesen? Ja, okay. Der Elefant, die Giraffe, das Pferd, der Junge, das Mädchen.
Der Junge, das Mädchen.
Der Elefant.
Das Pferd. Und könnt ihr zum Beispiel einem Deutschlerner erklären, warum heißt es der Elefant, aber die Giraffe? Oh, das ist schwierig. Also Elefant kann ich nicht so richtig erklären, aber Giraffe. Oh nee, okay, ich kann es auch nicht wirklich erklären. Aber ich hätte jetzt gedacht, dass, weil es auf E endet, aber Junge endet ja auch auf E. Also keine Ahnung. Also da fragt man sich halt immer, die Regeln sind ja irgendwie, also die folgen ja keinem Schema, glaube ich. Also das ist halt einfach, ist halt so. Ich weiß. Keine Ahnung. Würdet ihr sagen, es gibt ansonsten irgendeine Logik? Warum heißt es der Elefant und die Giraffe oder die Sonne und der Mond?
Das hat man mir mal so gelernt.
Das versuche ich meinem Dreijährigen auch beizubringen. Keine Logik.
Habt ihr irgendwelche Tipps für Menschen, die Deutsch lernen, wie man sich das merken kann oder wie man das schlechter lernen kann? Nee, nicht so wirklich. Also ich finde es im Deutschen ziemlich schwierig, ehrlich gesagt.
Nee, ich glaube, dass wenn man Muttersprachler ist, kann man das schlecht. Das weiß man einfach.
Aber wenn es ja keine Regel gibt.
So, das
Aber ja.
Es gibt tatsächlich für manche eine Regel, zum Beispiel Mädchen, also Wörter auf Chen.
Ach, alles, was auf Chen endet.
Ja. Okay. So, es gibt ein paar Regeln, aber es gibt.
Ist echt, also Deutsch ist echt eine fiese Sprache zum Lernen. Das glaube ich, kann man, das wissen.
Okay, now I thought it was really funny when she's giving them the rule that words ending in C-H-E-N, shen, which is a diminutive, it's das Mädchen, das, what else with shen? Usually it's ein Kosename. I can't think of another example. And this lady right here goes, oh, really? And she's a native German that doesn't know the rules. And the one gentleman before in the black pants and top said, if your native tongue is German, you just know it. There are rules and we'll go through those. But somebody, I think said or is coming up says, well, yeah, but there's always exceptions. And that's big in German. There are always exceptions.
Das sind auch alle, die gerade Deutsch lernen.
Wie ihr seht, gibt es in der deutschen Sprache keine richtige Logik. Nicht mal Deutsche können erklären, warum es der Elefant heißt, aber die Giraffe. Es gibt zwar Regeln für einen Teil der Artikel und darüber haben wir schon mal ein Video gemacht. Die könnt ihr hier mal sehen und sie dann auch lernen. Aber diese Regeln betreffen eben nur einen Teil der deutschen Nomen. Und für alle anderen müsst ihr wirklich die Geschlechter stumpf auswendig lernen. Und weil das so schwierig und nervig ist, haben wir einen Gender Trainer entwickelt in unserer App Seedling, der euch helfen soll. Und unser Freund Jeremy und ich, wir zeigen euch jetzt mal, wie das aussieht. Okay, jetzt sind wir in unserem Studio und wir zeigen euch jetzt den Gender Trainer. Jeremy hat es selbst gebaut und wird es selbst testen. Bist du bereit?
Ich bin bereit.
Okay. Ich habe einige Wörter ausgewählt. Die seht ihr jetzt.
Okay. Der Abend. Die Mogliche.
Sehr gut.
Das Brötchen.
Du weißt alles.
Das war zu einfach. Die Ausstellung. Der Graf. Die Entschuldigung. Es hat eine Regel.
Wir machen mal was falsch.
Das Geschäft. Richtig. Das Geschäft. Der Geschäft.
Geschäft. Das Geschäft. Und jetzt seht ihr tatsächlich die Regel dazu. Ich habe eben gesagt, dass es manchmal Regeln gibt. Und wenn es eine Regel gibt, dann seht ihr die auch unter dem Wort, sobald das Wort falsch gemacht wurde.
Und die Reviews?
Ah, genau. Du kannst es zu den Reviews hinzufügen.
All right, so we won't go into their little their app, but just to let you know, so when we start doing the genders, again, you have to learn the article in front of the noun when you're learning the nouns. That is the best way to learn these genders. It's not Haus, aber das Haus, das Auto, der Mann, die Frau. You know, not just the noun, use the article in front to help. Yeah, there are some things that, some rules to follow with das Geschäft. They were saying 90% of words that start with GE are neuter, are das, okay? Anything that ends like Mädchen, Brötchen, with the CHEN is das, it's neuter. Anything that ends in LUNG, like die Entschuldigung or UNG, is feminine. And that's true, you know, most of the time that's the case. But again, there's exceptions, like the one lady at the beginning was saying, anything that ends in an E is usually feminine, like die Giraffe. Well, that's not true because you have der Junge is masculine. So, you know, there's going to be exceptions. And so the easiest way is when you're learning vocabulary, when you're learning those nouns, learn the der, die, das that are in front of those nouns. And then it'll be so much easier. 90% of the nouns then will be just naturally memorized that way. And then eventually it comes. The one gentleman that said, you know, if it's your mother tongue, you know, you just know that's part of it. Yeah, as children are learning a language, it's just automatic. But that's the same with English. So that's when, you know, we hear people say English is so hard. You're like, it's really not. Well, it is hard if you have to learn it. But as we grew up with it, to us, it's just natural that, you know, things are, that we know the difference between I dove into the pool, I see the dove in the tree. And yet we know they're both spelled the same, but we know what the difference is. And yet when you have, you know, someone learning English and they see the dove in the tree and I dove in the pool, they think it's both dove and they're like, wait a minute, that doesn't even make any sense. So, okay. So it'll come with the genders and, you know, just learn, you know, I can't say it enough, learn the article in front of those nouns and then it'll make the genders much easier to learn. All right. All right. Fragen, Schwierigkeiten. When you have a moment after I post the video, take a look at those other two videos. They were just really interesting about some, you know, things about Germans. So, all right.